Alright, this one's going to be a bit interesting. I was planning on doing more of an outdoor video, but it's already 110 degrees out. I stepped outside and I'm already sweating. So we're back in the garage again. Glorious indoor AC. This is the Sierra Designs 40-liter backpack. It's a fantastic little thing. Right now with my base weight, it's about 10 pounds. It's super light. What's nice is it has very durable and padded, let's turn this around. It's got very durable and padded shoulder straps. The back is nice and padded. And we also have padded hip straps, which for me are a huge plus because that takes a lot of the weight off your shoulders. So if you're carrying anything else up here, you distribute all that weight to your hips and you almost forget about it. So I'm gonna get the camera all set up and we'll go over our contents. We're gonna start off with our top two compartments. In my top one, I have three things. First things first, I have my black diamond headlamp. It has both a spot, a flood, and a red feature, and then it can blink if you double tap it. Then I have my Silva, I believe it's the model 123 compass. Fantastic for the price point. I think I paid like 15 bucks for it. Your bezel doesn't move a whole lot, your arrow doesn't move a whole lot. It's amazing because typically when you're working with the compass, this thing, your arrow is going to move all over the place anytime you shift. This thing stays nice and flat. I don't know if you guys can see that, but whenever it rotates, it does a very good job of staying at the inclination you want it. And finally, in my top compartment, I have kind of the oldest trick in the book, Altoids can fire starting kit. This is real simple. I just have some no-name lighter, got the fuel turned off, turn it on, you got fire. And then to help with that, I have just a block of like fire material. You can buy these at Bass Pro Shops for dollars, if anything. And then I have my Gerber Paraframe. It's a nice little knife. I mean, I'm not using it for anything serious. Most of the time, it's either feathering out a stick or just chopping off a section of this. And then I have spare, get these out. They're like match striker pads. What I'll do is typically, along with this, I will have sets of matches taped to the top. I just ran out, so once I restock those, this will be back up and running. But what I've found, I've experimented with the ferrocerium rod technique, and no matter how much I practice, I just can't get it. So until I get better and more proficient with that, I'm going to stick with these, because what I'll do is I'll build up my kindling. I'll chop off about a quarter or a half-inch section of this, light it on fire, it takes little to no effort, drop that in the center, and then you're good to go. Next, in the smaller one, I've got a few kind of accessory bits. I have another light. This is basically a battery-powered glow stick. Good for if you're you just need a little bit of light, you're looking around inside your bag, or you're hiking in a group and this is just as a marker to say, hey, you know, this is on my bag like this, you know where I'm at no matter how dark it is. And then I also have my water purification kit. It's just a Sawyer Mini. This thing's fantastic. I also have the straw for it as well if I need to use that. I keep it in a little plastic bag just so I can keep it all in the same spot without needing to use any sort of fancy dry bag or stuff sack. And then last but not least, I've just got a plastic spoon spork thing with a little bit of a sharpened edge. I mean, it's good for what it is. Alright, so last thing on the outside is going to be my water bottle. This is one of those like Life Water fancy ones that you paid way too much for at the gas station. Bought it once because I realized the thread pitch on this actually matches the thread pitch on the Sawyer Mini. So what you can do is, like with most of this water, I've gone up to some sort of stream, creek, lake, whatever. You go to your body of water, and all you have to do is take this off, take your end, screws right on, and then you just shoot water right at the top, and then you're in business. So I found that extremely handy. Plus, it's a good way to recycle an old water bottle. I mean, it weighs next to nothing, and you get a lot of use out of it. I've extended this water bottle's lifespan by far more than what it was probably intended for, but it served me very well. Right. Now, into the meat and potatoes. So what we're gonna do, I love, so you can use this brain to further compress the sack. Like I said in the last video, you can make a big pack small. So that was my whole idea with this. I'll take a 40-liter pack and pack it with just my essentials. We'll be good to go. So what I love is you got tensioning straps both here on the outside to tie this brain down. You got ones on either side here and here, kind of cinch down everything on the inside. So it has a pretty standard drawstring opening. So I like that just because I can grab everything right out from here. So really I pack pretty minimally. Right now what I've got inside of here is 2 meals. I have both the Peak Chili Mac and I have the breakfast skillet from Mountain House. I just got these from REI. I'm looking to test these out on another camp out. Typically what I'll run food-wise, just because it's really handy, these require hot water. So as an alternative, I'll typically run like an MRE, something you can get from a military surplus place. It takes up a little bit more space, but you have usually 2 to 3 meal items, snacks and whatnot. It doesn't require any hot water like these would. But these are a bit more lightweight, and I'm going to kind of try and branch out and try different things. That way I get a better picture of what kind of food items you have optionally. So these are nice, and this one has 450 calories in it, but these, Peak makes excellent meals that you can get up to 1,000 calories. They're like 10, 12 bucks, but they're definitely worth it. All right, next, just some miscellaneous bits. This might sound kind of odd. This is a shamag. So I'm probably butchering that, but the shamag or shmag, however you want to say it, shamag. What I do is I typically keep this thing folded up, kind of like a triangle, like so. Kind of open it like that. What you can do, you can use it to filter larger things out of water, which I like. But being in the desert, it's a nice, handy, lightweight piece of cloth you can wrap around your face whenever you need to, whenever it gets dusty or stormy. Also, if you just need a little bit of extra warmth, obviously you can use it as a scarf. I mean, it's a really thin material, so you're not going to get too much out of it. But just as in general, like a face covering, it's fantastic. Inside this outside pocket, I keep a lot of my hygiene stuff. So that's baby wipes and cotton swabs just to keep dirt and stuff out of your ear while you're on the trail. And then typically inside of here, along with that, I'll keep a Ziploc bag with travel size toothbrush, toothpaste, and deodorant, just to keep up that standard of hygiene while I'm on the trail. And then finally, inside the pack, I have a 2-liter Camelback bladder coming down off my right shoulder out of this little hose. So the main reason for that is I want to have my primary water source and a secondary water source, simply due to the fact that being in the desert, water is almost never abundant. I live in a rare spot where you do have lakes and rivers and whatnot, but you always want to have some on you, and 2 liters is going to give me enough to either get back to my vehicle or back to base camp if I'm starting to run low, and I can either refuel my water or call it a trip and just head back home. Alright, so let's go over my sleeping system. So in front of me, got laid out my ground mat, my liner, my bivvy, which I use as a sleeping bag, my pillow, and my bug net. What I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to get this all set up, time myself, so you guys get a general idea of what this is going to get you. I've got a total of 5 items. All together they weigh about 2 pounds. It's fantastic. I'll get it all set up and we'll go from there. Alright, so right now I have my ground pad, my bivvy, my liner, my pillow, and just for demonstration I have my mosquito net wrapped around my pillow. It took all about 3 minutes and 15 seconds to set all that up, and that was just kind of casually going through it. So what we're going to do now, I'll get you in close so you can see just kind of how those elements all tie together. Right, so as you guys can see, I have my bivvy right here, my liner, my pillow, and my net, and then underneath, my pad. This pad is very nice and squishy, and as mentioned before, it's a 3/4 one, so it only goes down to there, but that just leaves your feet kind of hanging off the edge, which is totally fine. Anyways, the liner is microfiber. It's very nice and thin. This mylar material helps keep you nice and insulated. So typically I'll either go just the liner or just the mylar, depending on how hot the night is. But as you guys can kind of tell, this has a cinch around it. So typically what I'll do is I will zip this all the way up and cinch that down so just my head is showing. That way I have just the net, so if bugs do come, they're on the outside of the net and they don't get inside the bag. Number one reason I like this thing is because considering its price point, how packable and how lightweight it is, you have a zipper that comes with it, and you have a cinchable hood, which has plenty of room. I'm a pretty average sized dude, and I fit in here comfortably with a little bit of wiggle room. Kind of zoom out, get you guys a better perspective of this. The liner fills it in very nicely. Even without it, that Mylar is not super crinkly during the night. It's very nice, very breathable. Can't recommend it enough. Overall, setup's 3 minutes, takedown's about 5.5. Not too bad considering what you get out of it. So I'm gonna pack this back up and we'll go over the final contents of the bag and call it a day. All right, so we're back at the table, and last but not least, we're gonna go over some things that I either have, in this case, my knife and my gloves, on my belt. In the case of my tarp, things that I like to keep towards the top or strapped to the bottom of it that I don't necessarily keep in the pack, just around if needed. So we'll leave the best for last. We'll start with my tarp. It's just a basic camouflage tarp, but heavier duty. I think I got it from Lowe's for like 12 bucks. We just have some bungees to keep it wrapped up. Typically what I'll do is I'll loop this through. This thing has some loops at the bottom. I'll toss it on the bottom of the pack or below that little top section where it buckles in. Makes for a good shelter if you're going in somewhere with more rain, or if you need a ground cover, going out for longer periods of time away from set shelter. I like to bring this with just because it provides you with some heavy duty protection from any kind of elements and a nice ground cover if I don't have the ideal setting to set up my shelter in. So there's that. Also not super heavy, just real bulky. And then for my gloves, what I like about these is I got them on a carabiner, so I'll just toss them on belt loop like that, and I'm good to go. I like having my gloves for any kind of woodworking. If I'm working with any kind of logs or if I'm using my knife, I like having something on my hands either to help with blisters, or if I'm starting a fire, I can adjust it better without worrying about getting burned. These are just the Mechanics Impact gloves. They're very nice, about $25 I think I spent on these things. They're really great, and I like just clipping them and having them on me just for any kind of use. And then last but certainly not least, if I'm going outdoors, I'm not leaving this thing at home. This is the Tops Tahoma field knife. As you can see, I've tossed a little lanyard made out of 550 on the back of it. This thing has gone with me everywhere. It is my favorite. I think it's a 1/4 inch thick blade. I've taken this thing out into the woods, taken it in the desert. I've used this thing for anything and everything between chopping down small trees, kind of notching them out and batoning, to just, choking up on it and feathering out sticks. This thing is phenomenal. I want to say it's an 8-inch blade. It's got 2 little notches right up in here. This one's for cutting wire, this slanted one. Flat one's just for lifting, like if you got a pot over a fire, put the wire in there, you kind of lift it off, use it more as a hanger. Obviously it's got the spear points, it's got 2 sides to the blade. It retains an edge like you wouldn't believe. I've hacked through trees with this thing. I think last time I sharpened it was months ago, and it's still just, yeah, that's perfect. So, wonderful knife. You got 3 different grip options. You got kind of your basic, more flat one. You got real choked up if you want more control for finer stuff. And then my favorite, if you choke back on it, you get kind of an angle to it as compared to here where it's flat. Here it's a little bit farther. And if you're looking to chop, this gives you an excellent angle, gets you a lot more leverage. It's fantastic. I love this knife. It's got kind of like a little angled piece right here. I don't use this too much. Not quite sure what it's used for. But this knife, I don't hear a lot of people talking about it. But I cannot recommend it enough. And if you're a gun guy like I am, this little hole right here at the top, aside from using it as another lanyard point if you want, a 5.56 or 2.23 will fit right in that hole. And what you can do is pop the projectile out of the round and pour out the gunpowder if for some reason you're in a scenario where you got bullets and you need to make a fire and you don't have a fire starting kit. Pull this bad boy out, dump one of your rounds and light up that powder. And with the powder in a 5.56, it burns for a few seconds. I've found a lot more success if you take 3 or 4 rounds, make a little pile around the area and do that. And if that's how you want to start it off, then it'll get you a good fire going. But yeah, this is the Tops Tahoma. This is the little sheath that comes with it. I haven't worried about getting any kind of fancy Kydex sheath. It's got 2 little Velcro ones for the front of the handle, the back of the handle. It's got another compartment right here. I can usually fit that Altoids cannon here, so I can fit my fire starting kit right there. And the best thing is that it has MOLLE along the back if you have a MOLLE pack that you want to hook this thing to. But primarily, I just like using this little thing to go around my belt. Typically have it right here on my hip, and I can just draw it really easily and get to work. So a little bit of a longer video today, a lot more stuff to go over. This is going to be fun to edit and post. It's taking me about, oh God, 3 hours to record all this, just between malfunctions, battery issues, making sure I have all the packing lists right and all my different takes. So I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you around. Hopefully next time we'll be reviewing the truck and giving you guys an overview of that. Thank you. Have a good day.